Hello. Now, usually I wouldn't necessarily make videos like this, but in the spirit of good decency and, everything else, Gumroad earlier this week. Now, for those who don't know, Gumroad is a digital platform in which people can buy and sell services such as digital books, digital media, brushes, assets for things like Photoshop, Illustrator, all that good stuff. And recently what Gumroad has done earlier this week is that the story goes is that they made a change to their policy about NSFW content creators. This could mean anything up to voice actors and voice actresses, script writers, sound editors, thumbnail artists, all the shebang, basically everything that qualifies as not safe for work. And Gumroad basically gave these people a direct, a conviction notice, saying that they were changing their policies so no NSFW content was going to be permitted on Gumroad whatsoever. And what they were doing is that they were giving all content creators 24 hours, and if you still had any trace of evidence left on your accounts, you would be banned immediately. So what happened is that various content creators, from the likes of Cottontail to the likes of Ule Tiger, B Switch, there's a lot of other ones involved. Jane Wild, is it Jay or Jane Wild? I think it's Jay Wild. Basically, and bear in mind, there were hundreds of content creators, and including again thumb artists like Chop Shop Pa and Ronin Dude, all had to basically send out distress signals to all people on Twitter, saying that either all of our services, either we're deleting all of our things in 24 hours. So if you have not downloaded our material, you make sure you do so, because they won't even keep the receipts. Is what I think they do, because it's one of the things that Gumroad has introduced a while back, is that you can actually have receipts for the things you paid for. So you had an absolute the transaction was absolutely set in stone. They should be anyway if it's done electronically. So make of that what you will. Now, before I go any further, I should also point out that apparently 4 weeks prior to this snap decision, Gumroad released a feature called the collaboration feature, in which if, let's say, people were working on a project together, that for every sale, you could delegate how much of a percentage somebody would be taking away. So, for example, if 4 people were working on a project, and for every sale, that's like 20, you could get, somebody could get a quarter of all revenue taken in. Now, this could be up to one person's discretion. It depends on who runs the account to which they're selling the stuff on. But the principle runs the same. And which is, again, more jarring, because I did happen to, whilst investigating this, get to know people who were actually trying to organize a way so that they were going to run their business so that people had like somewhat of a stake involved, so that each person, if for every sale, it means that they would still get paid something, and they couldn't really lose on anything they produced, if that makes sense. So Gumroad, to sort of like go back on their word immediately after 4 weeks, is an all too familiar trade with the people who work on this sort of material, but it's nonetheless disgusting, again, for people who not only do this sort of thing absolutely, just for fun and try to actually start a little side hustle and whatnot. But the reason why I'm like bothering covering this entire story at all is the fact that Gumroad, literally a whole day after the announcement, and basically after Gumroad had been squeaked clean, and when even some people were absolutely doing everything they could to like boost revenue, from an exceptional performer called Voice Like Candy, literally posted a 50%, I think it's like a 50% sale on every single one of her 400 plus audio collection that she had on her own store in particular. And you want to know what Gumroad did? Once all NSFW stuff was removed, they had the audacity to post that apparently content creators had generated $900,000 in revenue in just 24 hours. They did this by basically stitching up hundreds, if not at least 1,000, very credible and actually very, very representable workers. They sold basically a lot of people out for less than like $1 million. And then they even had the audacity to say that they were going to be opening their very first office space in New York City. And listen, renting out studios in New York City is not cheap. So you gotta wonder exactly how long this is going to keep going, because Gumroad is like mostly doesn't really have a studio or has like an office or a base of operations, to my knowledge. So your guess is as good as mine as to how long this is going to last, and if Gumroad in some way suffers some sort of fallout as a result of this. So you may be asking yourself at this point, is that the end of the story? Because, well, aside from maybe one thing, is the fact that what started all of this? Well, apparently I think it was down to some rules that MasterCard, or it might have been either MasterCard, PayPal, or Stripe, or possibly even Visa made like a change to their terms of service. And what it all led to is that they can basically hold all the cards, and they can decide exactly what could be and what could be not acceptable on platforms. Even when it comes to things like not safe for work content, is, well, first of all, people who specialize in that sort of material can generate the actual like collective industry. It's like it must be estimated nearly $2 billion like a year, not just for the stuff that people do on Gumroad, but literally on the whole of the internet, OnlyFans included, and among other like big name studios. Just to give some examples, what I'm saying is that it would be very, very difficult to suggest how Gumroad, well, or rather how an entire like currency system or program would decide what they can and cannot have. In fact, I will say this, is that somebody got in touch with me when I was investigating all of this, who runs a Twitter account called Find Fictional Men. The idea is that she was going to be running something of like an audio series or like a drama, or I think it was either a comic book, if I may or may not remember correctly. And she was talking about how even 3 years ago she was talking about this, and people said that she was completely out of her mind, and look at where it's all led. In fact, she even went further, and she actually sent me a link to a petition about whether or not if you were satisfied or not that what MasterCard was doing to certain workers was above board or not. And I had the satisfaction, ladies and gentlemen, of telling you that I signed the petition saying that I think they've acted incredibly unfairly. I mean, call it what you will, ladies and gentlemen. They still work. They still got skills to present to the world. And I think that accounts for quite a lot of things. Now, like I said before, I may not take a personal interest, and perhaps you may not take a personal interest in them, but I'm sure to quite a lot of people, actually, it must be delegated to someone nearly or just as important. There's a lot of things that, you know what, I mean, golf, I'm not particularly a big fan of golf, but you know what? Imagine if they just decided to, like, stop selling tickets to attend golf venues, or go to watch the football matches, or to do stuff like that. Like, there are certain things, again, that you just can't really just limit people in that capacity. And well, I suppose the only thing I could like really mention again, ladies and gentlemen, is that I was like completely unaware of this, like, while the whole situation was going on. So the only thing I could really add at this point is that I probably won't ever be using Gumroad ever again after this, because if they're willing to do that to, again, hundreds if not thousands of hard-working people, goodness knows what they're going to do to those who are actually playing by the rules. And bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, NSFW content creators, they have to play by the rules as well. In fact, you could say they have to play even more so to the rules, because they have to highlight in black and white the legalities of what they're doing, about how everything is above board. And there were also some like strange restrictions about some case about Pornhub going on in Texas, something or other. I think it's gone down to like things like consent even. Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to contact somebody saying that? Do I have permission to do this, that, and the other while watching their stuff? Is that what we're talking about? I'm not entirely sure if like this is something I'm just like getting myself too involved in, but yeah, the point I'm trying to make is this: is that support the people who entertain you, support what they do. Make sure you actually pay for the things that you consume. You know what? They have to eat, feed, look after their families, and look after themselves just as much as everybody else. But you know what? The fact that Gumroad or any corporation is just willing to like stitch them up and cut their nuts off for all of this, for whatever reason, is still a little bit blurry. But I don't think it's very fair for people to do that. And I don't even think it's fair for Gumroad to gloat about it either. So, as the title suggests, ladies and gentlemen, Gumroad chews people up and spits them straight back out to be eventually squashed in the road. Well, it's time we hit the high road too and never come back. Always look ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and always remember this. Never walk away from an experience thinking that you're glad that it's over. Think about what we've actually learned along the way. That is so that these sorts of things won't happen again. Or if they do happen again, we know exactly what to do and we know exactly where to go from here. Thank you.